Hello, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Jameelah, and I'm a master manifester, and I'm sure you are too because you are consuming content like this. The name of this channel is Holistic Manifesting because I believe in a whole body, whole mind, and whole being experience when it comes to manifesting these amazing lives that we are choosing. What I'm discussing in this video is... I'll read it out because it's kind of a long topic. When you find yourself surrounded by people, places, or circumstances that challenge the way you have always existed, know that these moments are meant for your growth, they're meant for your breakthroughs, and they're meant for your highest good. So in one of my posts, one of the community posts, I mentioned that I had gone on a retreat to... It was in the south of France, and it was at a villa. It was absolutely beautiful. It was just the most amazing time. And it was for like 8 days. So I really had a time to like sink into it. And it was just beautiful experience with these other women. And it was only about 7 women. And in the beginning, there was like a hiccup with something related to safety, which there was no issues with safety, but somehow we let this thing get the best of us and it started to take on a mind of its own, right, in the villa because it was kind of remote. And once we got through this sort of hiccup that happened, it was amazing the level of comfort that I felt with going everywhere and being everywhere. And I've even noticed with coming home, I normally do this really deep, check this, check that. And then did I check it and going over it again and all that. And like having unnecessary lights on inside and both outside and all that stuff. But something about that also relaxed. And what I gathered about this whole situation is that sometimes we don't see it in the moment where something is happening and it's making us really uncomfortable. We feel out of our element. We feel like something is being pushed on us that we are not fully in control of and we don't fully understand. It's generally working out for our greatest good. It's working out as a breakthrough, something that we are needing to evolve out of that we're not even sure that even existed. Because sometimes it's really clear about things that we want to evolve out of. It's like, I have a fear of this, I want to fix that. I have a fear of, going on long journeys alone. I got to fix that. And like, we're really specific about that. But sometimes there are those fears or those limitations that we're not necessarily tapped into. And when we're not tapped into them, when we get in surroundings that are with people, places, and things, and we have these moments of extreme discomfort or extreme fear, or like we feel like something is being moved in that moment, we're not exactly sure what it is, what's taking place. And I can honestly say in my case with this particular situation is that I was being taught to be comfortable everywhere that I am. I was being taught to understand that my children are safe even when I'm not right next to them, right? That everything in the world is not always scary, depending on, there are situations to where you need to be mindful. That's no big deal. But sometimes we're like beyond cautious just because we've been taught to be that way in every environment that we become a part of. And it's not always necessary. And there were many other instances where I realized that I'm in this unique situation with these people in this unique circumstance. And there are particular things that I am forced to pay attention to, that I'm forced to work on, that I'm being forced to better understand about myself. So whenever you find yourself in those places or in those moments to where you are connected to people or connected to environments or connected to a situation to where you don't fully understand it and you're not exactly sure why you have such a high level of discomfort, our automatic response is usually to get rid of this thing, to get rid of the situation, get rid of the people, sometimes get rid of the environment, to like move away from it. And a lot of times we will rationalize ourselves into finding something wrong with the people, the place, or the environment, as opposed to thinking a little bit deeper. Is this helping me grow through something that's important to me? Is this a breakthrough that needs to be had? Is this expansion that I've been looking for, waiting for? I found this happen sometimes in relationships with other people. Sometimes people can get to a point to where the other person in a relationship, they're really challenging the person's security. They're challenging their mindset. They're challenging their existence. And it's not because the person is doing anything. It's just that there are many ways that you were accustomed to existing that are now being challenged because you no longer need those things in order to make it to the next level or to expand to the next place. And if we're not careful and we're not paying attention in those moments, we can easily find ourselves getting rid of the people, the places, or the circumstance because it's pushing us too far out of our comfort zone and too far out of the environments and interactions that we have been accustomed to. But if we sit with it a little bit longer and pay a little bit closer attention, you'll see that, okay, this is something that I have an unnecessary hang up with that I know is not working for me because I'm shrinking myself in order to stay away from the growth that I know is happening. I'm shrinking myself to stay away from the expansion. I always say this to anybody. If you find yourself trying to leave a situation or an environment or people or something, and you have a very negative attitude towards the moving on, a negative attitude towards going into the new space, it's like when people leave an old job and they're like, oh, those people were the worst. They were awful. They were blah, blah, blah. And sometimes, yeah, they may have been all those things. But when you're too hopped up on what other people were doing negatively or wrong, I'm a firm believer that that was a missed opportunity for an expansion and growth that you couldn't see because you were too busy trying to be right or trying to be comfortable or trying to point out what other people were doing wrong in the situation, right? I've even seen this happen in relationships. That's why I'm huge on amicable departing when it comes to not being in connection. Now, mind you, I don't always get this when it comes from the people that I'm connected with in these situations, because sometimes when you say I want to be amicable, that's somebody else's opportunity to be like, no, I don't want to give you what you want. I want there to be anger or hatred or aggravation or all those things. When it's not even necessary to do so, right? And I've had this happen in all types of relationships. Well, in those situations, the reason why I've been always so hopped up on being amicable, because I know that if I walk away saying that this person is lacking this, they're lacking that, they're not good enough here, they weren't what I wanted there, and all these negative things, that it's just going to drive me into situations to where I have to continue to learn whatever that lesson was. When we allow those situations to grow us, we can walk away and say, okay, well, why this person might have not been exactly what I wanted to connect with. This job might have not been exactly the place I wanted to be. These people might not be the exact people that I want to spend a lot more time with. At the end of the day, we had good connection and I learned a lot, and now I'm ready for the new journey. And I feel when you move away from things in those ways, you don't find yourself in the same place dealing with the same type of people and places and personalities. You've allowed that expansion to happen. You've allowed the breakthrough. You've allowed yourself to grow past whatever discomfort you were actually dealing with. So when you see yourself surrounded by people and places and environments and moments to where you are completely out of your element, like you feel uncomfortable, there's, a strong, discomfort level. There's a strong anticipation, aggravation, anxiety related to where you're at and what you're doing, barring that you are not actually in danger. And 99% of the time, we are not actually in danger. Allow yourself to work through that, because remember, the feelings that you're having, the disruption that you're having on the inside, that's only apparent to you. It's not even apparent to the people around you and in the environment around you. A lot of times you'll tell people afterwards, this is how I was feeling and this is what I was going through. And they won't even know that that is what you were experiencing. So if you can remember that what I'm experiencing is only happening inside of me, then I can at least just show up in the environment. And even if I have to sit back and like take a back seat or kind of just be quiet for a moment, know that that extreme insecurity that you're feeling or that extreme discomfort or those extreme negative feelings are there to grow you. They're there to expand you. They're there to take you to the next level. They're like kinks in like a rope, like if you have a rope that you're pulling to go from one place to the next and then you get a kink in it, that's kind of like what those moments are, right? So keep that in mind. When you find yourself surrounded by people, places, and things and in environments that just don't add up, sometimes it doesn't really make sense to you, or you feel like this is a new horizon, a lot of us have the tendency to want to shrink back, to want to go back to what we know, to want to go back to where we are comfortable, to the people and places that make us feel good. But if you allow that situation to sort of ride itself out, I've been in relationships with people to where I've watched them go from feeling very confident to feeling very a lot of discomfort based on things that were happening in my life. And then I've seen them getting to the point where they're about to crash out. And I'm like, if you don't allow this crash out to change everything in your life, if you allow it to just happen and be, you're going to see that you are going to grow and expand and change. And it's not going to be painful. It's not going to be what you think it is. But of course, there are many times where I've witnessed these things and people shrink right back into something, and they go and grab the people that they used to know and grab the environments that are most comfortable to them instead of situations that they're most comfortable in operating in. But then they miss the opportunity for that growth and expansion that was happening through the discomfort of what was occurring in that moment, right? So anyway, that is something that I grabbed, and I kind of knew this, but it's like a refresher. Allow yourself to sit with it. Allow yourself to be comfortable and to be free and to just kind of absorb what you are experiencing. And just understand too that you're the only one probably experiencing the feelings that you're having. And once you let yourself work through that, it'll be even shorter than what you know. And you'll feel like a new person and like you have a new beginning when you get to the other side of it, right? Anytime it's something that you want to walk away from and you have a bunch of negative feelings towards it, know that that means that there's an area of you or an aspect of you that is not growing, because you should be able to walk away from most things in your life, everything in your life, amicably, having soft feelings towards it, releasing and being free, as opposed to holding on tightly, because holding on to that energy very tightly just means that you're going to be bringing more of it into your space, and you're going to try to figure out, why do I keep experiencing this same thing? Well, when you get to the places to where it's uncomfortable and you have to look at your ego and you got to look at yourself and you got to really, feel small for a moment, you didn't let that happen. You wanted to be bigger than it, and then you didn't allow yourself to go through what needed to happen and experience it at that level, so that you can say, okay, I took my ego off the table and I'm just going to be human now. And I don't like what I'm experiencing, but I refuse to let it push me into making bad decisions or to walking away from experiences that are meant to expand and grow me. Anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day.